You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show podcast on KPEL965.com.
News Talk 96.5, KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax Pros studios. Find them online at MatthewJamesTaxPros.com.
It's one of the last measures of the economy before the election. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Before the jobs report Friday, the GDP report out this morning, a broad measure of economic sectors and services, showed slightly less growth over the summer than expected, a 2.8% increase. Economists predicted 3%, the same as second quarter growth.
However, Americans are still buying things. Consumer spending rose by 3.7%. Though the GDP reading is below forecasts, it is still considered in the range of healthy growth for the economy, and it calms concerns about the economy slipping into recession.
Fox's Ginny Casola. President Biden just put out a statement. Today's report shows how far we've come since he took office. From the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, he wrote, to the strongest economy in the world.
We will end inflation. We will stop the invasion of criminals into our country.
Former President Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania where he also reacted to President Biden calling Trump supporters garbage.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right?
President Biden clarified his comments in a post on X that he was not calling all Trump supporters garbage. It was just the Trump-supporting comedian at Sunday's rally in New York who called Puerto Rico garbage. Vice President Harris held a big rally in Washington.
Each of you has the power to turn the page.
She called the former president unstable and a wannabe dictator. Speaking at the Ellipse in D.C., where on January 6, 2021, then President Trump spoke.
And sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election.
Now, today, both Trump and Harris will campaign in North Carolina and hold dueling rallies in Wisconsin. The vice president will also go to Pennsylvania. The U.S. Supreme Court has just ruled that Virginia can remove some voters off the voter rolls who were not the state said were non-citizens. America's listening to Fox News.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food. And this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Election night is here. Join us here at News Talk 96.5 KPEL as we bring you up-to-the-minute results and expert analysis. Join me, Joe Cunningham, and Jamie Angel, host of Acadiana's Morning News, from 6 to 11 p.m. on Tuesday night as we cover every twist and turn in the race between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. And don't forget that control of Congress is on the line, and we'll be following every House and Senate race that matters to you. Join us on the radio or use the KPEL app to listen live online to Election Night 2024, brought to you by the Tax Pros at Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management.
Have you noticed bad behavior has become normalized at interscholastic athletic events? Some fans seem angry. They lack civility toward one another. Some even get aggressive and unruly. Time out! What is going on? This has to stop. Let's not forget, school sports aren't just about winning. And they're definitely not an excuse to take your frustrations out on the official or the opponent. They're about teaching lessons like perseverance, respect, and empathy, so students can learn and grow as people, not just as players. We all have a role to play in setting a good example for our students and teaching them these important values. So fans, it's time to step up your game and behave positively at interscholastic athletic events in Louisiana.
This message presented by the LHSAA and the Louisiana High School Athletic Directors Association.
Bikers Against Child Abuse, BACA, exists with the intent to create a safer environment for abused children. We exist as a body of bikers to empower children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. We stand ready to lend support to our wounded friends by involving them with an established, united organization. If you'd like to know more about BACA, please visit our website at bacaworld.org or call 1-866-71-ABUSE. Bikers Against Child Abuse empowers children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. For more information, visit bacaworld.org. Our helpline is 866-885-9474. BACA, breaking the chains of abuse.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by Champines, located in the Oil Center. Champines, going the extra mile.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hi, all. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. It is awesome to be back with you. Had a great trip through Baton Rouge and down through Gretna last night. What a day. Just an awesome day all around. 844-766-6607 is the number. Matthew James Business and Tax Reduction Hotline. Supreme Court just blocked non-citizen voters in Virginia. Folks, that ought to be, if America is going to be great, we got to, no citizen should ever be allowed to vote anywhere in America, and that's a Democrat Party thing to get non-citizens to vote. And that's a sin and a shame because they're going to vote in California and New York and some of these places to really make the popular vote look worse than it's going to be. Excuse me. So that was a big ruling by the Supreme Court. It should say you cannot let non-citizens be on the ballot. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, let me jump gears because I got a gentleman on here. He's an attorney, friend of the program, Roy Alexander joins us. Roy, how you doing?
Doing good, Moon. How you doing?
Man, for hard work and dedication. At least I keep telling everybody that. So Louisiana. Well, you're laughing because everybody believes I'm dedicated. They just don't believe the hard work part of it. I think everybody knows I am dedicated to the cause, though.
Definitely.
All right, so Louisiana Supreme Court threw out as unconstitutional Louisiana continence statute?
Continuances.
Continuous statute. What is this? Tell us what this is first.
It's kind of an important ruling. It applies across the whole state of Louisiana to any attorneys who are state senators and state representatives. And what it just says is that the continuous statute was a pretty strong statute. It pretty much allowed the state senator or state rep to say when a judge was going to grant a continuance or not grant one. And the reason it's interesting as a constitutional question is because, of course, we have three branches of government. We have the legislative, executive, and judicial. And in this ruling, the Louisiana Supreme Court said, on its face, it's interesting. They said we don't even need to apply this to parties. We can read right on its face and say that this legislative continuance statute is unconstitutional. And it's because essentially, Moon, each of our three branches of government are supposed to stay in their own lane. And here, the Louisiana Supreme Court found that the legislature was reaching into the judiciary, into a courtroom, and telling a judge that you're either going to grant a continuance for one of these attorneys, state senators, or state reps, or you're not. And they just said that just goes too far. You're confusing the powers. You're violating the judicial power. And that was the first thing. So it violated the separation of powers to allow these continuances just to be filed and immediately granted. A judge has no discretion. If a legislator, state senator, state representative file one of these to continue a court case, a judge has no discretion over it. So that's the first thing. it violates the separation of powers. It's the legislature telling the judiciary what to do. The second problem was the Louisiana Supreme Court said it's just contrary to the interests of justice. It's a denial of due process. Imagine this situation, man. Say a lady, her husband is killed in a terrible car accident. She files a lawsuit because of his death, all of which, of course, we know happens regularly. To make that lady, that widow, wait for years on end to have her day in court, it's unfair. It's not in the interest of justice. So for that second reason, they said this delay and delay and delay and delay, and some of the cases were delayed for several years, is just unacceptable. It's not in the interest of justice. So it's an important ruling. I think, Moon, every now and then when a Supreme Court, whether it's the U.S. Supreme Court or the Louisiana Supreme Court, it's important to redefine the lines between our separation of powers is so important that the legislative and the judicial and the executive all stay in their own lanes. And this is a case of the court saying, you're going too far here.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. When you look at the ruling, so you like the ruling?
I do, Moon. I do. And of course, I love the area of constitutional law to begin with. But what's interesting to me is there's two ways to find a statute unconstitutional. One is on its face, which is what the court did here. The other is as applied. And to the Louisiana Supreme Court, Moon, this was so clear that it's so clear that this legislative continuance statute violated the Constitution. They knocked it down just on its face. They didn't even need to apply it to two parties in a lawsuit. And so, to me, that's important. That's very interesting that the Louisiana Supreme Court heard the case, and again, it will apply to attorneys all over the state of Louisiana. And it just says, look, in the future, you're going to have to come like every other attorney and ask to get a case delayed or continued. Mm-hmm. You can't just file because you're an elected official, a state legislator, you can't just file a piece of paper and say automatically I'm granted a continuance, because it really does drag things. And as I say, that widow whose husband was killed in a car accident, for example, would have to wait for years to have her day in court. And so I do like the ruling. As I say, it's important for especially the Supreme Court occasionally to redraw the lines, because the framers of our Constitution, they always knew there would be this tension between the three branches of government, but it's up to the court to redefine and re-clear the lines so all of our branches of government stay in their own lane.
Well, the other reason I was going to ask you might have answered it when you talked about the lady. The average person out there who doesn't know law terms and every fine point of a lawyer and the Constitution, how does this affect them? Now, I know you gave one example, but how does it really affect them? Because somebody listening to you goes, well, that has nothing to do with me.
Sure. It really does, because whether it's a criminal matter or a civil matter, like I know a prosecutor in a different parish, not in Caddo, but a parish not far from here. He says he's told judges, Judge, I cannot bring a case forward because the person representing this person in a criminal matter, the criminal defense attorney, is an elected legislator, and they keep filing these continuances, and I can never bring my prosecution forward. Mm-hmm. Or, again, in the plaintiff case, somebody's car wrecked, the lady, the widow, whose husband was killed. So that's how it affects every single one of us. The court system, unfortunately, moves slowly enough as it is, Moon, because we tend to be overwhelmed with cases. We're a very litigious state and society, but this just added yet further delaying onto it. So it really does affect anyone who's listening now who is involved with the court system. Anything involving an attorney on either side, defense, the one bringing the case, the one defending the case, an attorney who's a state representative or state senator can delay this in this way. And the courts finally just said it goes too far. Just because you're an elected official, yes, we want elected officials who are attorneys to serve in our state senate and state legislature. But you have to balance that against the fact that people have to have their cases brought to trial. We have to resolve things.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there any other court battle coming on this particular issue?
No, but this certainly won't be addressed to, and I want to say this, the two guys who brought this, the Shreveport guys, Shreveport Bossier, Joe Gregorio and Cole Sarton, two attorneys here, they really are the ones who were representing, in a case like this, a lady who waited years to get her case brought to trial. And both Joe Gregorio and Cole Sarton finally said, look, what we're going to do will affect the whole state of Louisiana if we get this to the Louisiana Supreme Court. And if I listen to some of the oral argument and just some of the questions, and again, you and I both watch U.S. Supreme Court oral arguments, Moon, where what the justices ask doesn't at all end up being how they rule 6 months later. But watching the Louisiana Supreme Court justices and the questions they ask about how cases can be delayed, and I just thought, I really do think they don't like this. I do think there's a chance they're going to strike the statute down, and they did. So, no, there's this case, the U.S. Supreme Court never hear a case like this. It's just too much of a state matter.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important for anyone who ever has any sort of interaction with our justice system, whether it's as a defendant, a prosecutor, whether it's someone bringing a lawsuit for a car accident or any other kind of civil suit. This does require your attorney, who's an elected official, state rep, state senator, to then now go back to asking the judge, Your Honor, we just are not ready. Could we have a continuance? And then it's back to being up to the judge, for the judge to use their discretion and think, yeah, maybe they do need 6 more months, or no, y'all just been delaying unnecessarily. We're actually going to keep the trial date, and we're going to trial 3 weeks from now. Yeah. So it does affect anyone who's listening to your program.
It also affects their money. It affects a lot of stuff. That's why I was just kind of curious, because the average person, the reason you hire a lawyer is so they can tell you what to do, what to think, and what to say. I'm just saying the average person, when you hire a lawyer, you can say, look, that's my problem. How you going to help me? And then that attorney, you're an attorney, you get all the information, you gather all the information, you use the law accordingly, and then you state your case, you make your case. And so that's why I was saying, how does it affect the average person? Because the average person looks up and goes, I have no idea what they're talking about. But in this case, I think you explained it and how it affects them.
Yeah. I mean, it's more likely, I would think, that most of the people who you and I know, of course, you never know when you're going to have a brush with the law. So my statement may even be too broad. But I'm thinking the majority of people who are listening now probably encounter the court in a civil matter of some kind, whether it's a divorce, whether it's some sort of child custody, or like a car accident. You know, someone, in the case of the lady whose husband was killed in a really bad car accident, obviously she has a case that can be brought. Her husband is now deceased. She would like to recover for his damages, maybe to be able to support her life without him going forward, all of that. And our court system, I mean, as I say, it's slow enough as it is because we have so many cases, but this was adding another part of it. And people could use it as a strategy. You know, if I were an insurance company and I wanted to keep people waiting for years on end until I finally had to pay, I would just be sure and hire the attorney to represent me who's a state senator or state rep, knowing that they can invoke these automatically. Just the filing of the piece of paper, a judge has no discretion, a continuance is granted. Yeah, good point. And so it could be used as a strategy, which is also unfair to the other party.
Yeah. All right, man, got to run. Thank you, Royal. Thanks for clearing it up. We appreciate it.
Okay, man, thank you.
All right, folks, got to take a break. All you people who are garbage, that would be me. I'm a deplorable also. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Moon Griffon Show. When you think about how you'll spend your money in retirement, what comes to mind? Probably travel, sunny beaches, and spoiling your grandchildren. But a recent survey found that over 30% of every dollar a retiree spends goes to taxes. Baby boomers were told for years to save money in their IRAs and 401ks and pay taxes later. Well, now that day has arrived, and boomers are shocked to see a third of their money going back to Uncle Sam. John Blanchard and the Matthew James Financial Group can help. What if you could protect all or most of your retirement wealth from future tax rate increases? Achieve a zero or near zero effective tax rate for most of your retirement years. Find out more. 337-366-8366. Isn't it time you got a second opinion on your wealth and retirement outlook? Learn how you could potentially kick the IRS out of your IRA. 337-366-8366 and online at MatthewJames.com.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah. It's gumbo season. This year, I want you to try some Ragin' Cajun Authentic Roux and let Ragin' Cajun Roux do the hard work for you. Using just 2 simple ingredients. Ragin' Cajun Roux, a slow cook for 6 hours for the perfect dark and rich tasting gumbo. You can find Ragin' Cajun Roux and Ragin' Cajun Original Cajun Seasoning in all your favorite grocery stores today. Folks, ask them for that Ragin' Cajun. Try all your great Ragin' Cajun products. Ask for them by name in the grocery store. Ragin' Cajuns, folks. This food is great. All y'all, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607 is the number. If you'd like to be part of the program, Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline. All right, early voting is over. According to what I got from the registrar's offices, that the numbers that Nancy Landry talked about yesterday haven't really changed a whole lot. Republicans are voting Democrats in a pretty big number, considering what they usually do in early voting. This is happening all over the country. Not every place, but in a lot of places all over the country. Somebody even sent me some numbers from New Iberia, which were, I think the Republicans voted at 38% and the Democrats voted at 24% in the New Iberia area. Just one of many places around the state and around the country. So yesterday, Walker, if you got it ready, the trashing of Trump and his voters and what they're saying about him and what they're saying about us. And people got the nerve to go vote for Democrats like they're nice and sweet, and they're just so nice, and they mean so well. It just wouldn't hurt a flea. And the lies and extortions from the media to allow this is phenomenal. This is your president, because he sure in the hell ain't mine, Joe Biden yesterday. Listen to this.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
So I'm garbage, and you're garbage. You know, Hillary Clinton, deplorables. Kamala Harris just had a little quick press conference, and she said she disagreed with what Biden said. Now, here's a woman that's calling him a fascist, is calling him un-American, is telling people he's going to lock them up, is telling people he's a Nazi. And she says she don't agree with Biden on the garbage when Kamala Harris calls us every name in the book when they calling Trump that. I'm telling y'all, this party in the media is a party of filth and hate like we've never seen. It doesn't stop. They calling the actual American citizens. They're calling them names. These are elected officials. These are people that are elected by the American people. And the funny thing about it is, whoever turns against them, I don't care if you're a Democrat voter, they're going to say the same thing about you. They feel the same way about you. You agree with them or you're a piece of trash. That's who they are. They can't show us any more of who they are. They're the ones talking about eliminating free speech. They're the ones talking about getting rid of the Second Amendment. They're the ones talking about having only one news source and you believe everything we tell you. They're the ones that act like communist China. They're the ones that say, well, we tell you to put a mask on, you put a damn mask on because we know better. We tell you the climate is boiling hot. You believe us, or you are a worthless piece of crap. That's them controlling everything they projected on Trump and us is what they are. And I've always been very careful to talk about people that vote for Democrats and the fact that, okay, you disagree with me. I'm asking you to pay attention to what these people are doing. They're the ones who are fat Nazis. Trump they can't stand. He had a rally at Madison Square Garden in the heart of the most liberal, progressive, socialist place in the world in New York City, and he sells it out in an hour. And they go in there, and one person makes a comment about Puerto Rico. You can't joke about anything anymore. And the thing about the garbage and the deplorables that Hillary Clinton said, they mean it. And it didn't come out of Trump's mouth. It came out of some comedian's mouth who was just having fun. You can't laugh at anybody anymore. They're the ones that are trying to control your life. They're the ones that want you to believe and think, have less children, eat less food, eat less meat. You got to drive an electric vehicle, run debt and run our country. They the ones believe with no border. Kamala Harris just said, I'm going to be the president for all the people. She talked about the border and how she's going to now go fix the border, and they're going to now try to stop the fentanyl stuff. Where was that for the last 3.5 years? These people don't want a border. There's no such thing as open border. You have a border, you got a border that's closed to protect us, and everybody goes in through the legal way, or you have no border. Kamala Harris and Biden say no border. So if you lost someone in fentanyl death, someone's been raped. I was in Gretna last night, and I heard about the rapes of kids down there from illegals. Harris and them did that. They don't want anything to be like America's supposed to be. We'll be right back. With 5 locations, I always make it a point to visit Superior Grill. I love the food there. It's authentic Mexican food with a Louisiana twist. That menu has all your favorites: nachos, quesadillas, enchiladas, tacos, fajitas, hand-cut steaks, and the best margaritas in the state. You go to Superior for lunch or dinner, and folks, you're going to thank me for it. My lovely bride and I eat at Superior Grill every chance we get. They're on Line Avenue in Shreveport, Government Street, and Holland Road in Baton Rouge, and they're on St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans. But look, their new location in Lafayette is now open. Lafayette, you've been clamoring for it, and now they are open on College Saloon. I want to see Superior Grill packed with folks from Acadiana. The best Mexican food with a Louisiana twist is found at Superior Grill. Shreveport, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans, and now Acadiana on College Saloon in Lafayette. This is Moon Griffon. I will see you at Superior Grill. This is Moon Griffon talking about another great Louisiana company, Hudco Roofing. Louisiana has some pretty crazy weather at times. Torrential rains, gusty winds, especially up north. Hail, and of course, hurricanes. You got to remember your roof protects everything, you and your family and most of your possessions. And that's where Hudco Roofing comes in. These folks aren't just your average roofers. They're the #1 roofing company in the state. Whether you need a repair or a brand new roof, Hudco Roofing has you covered. Hudco is a CertainTeed Select shingle master and takes every roof all the way down to the decking to make sure there's no hidden damages. Hudco Roofing is also a state certified installer of the Fortified Roofing System, and that's a big deal, especially during hurricane season. Hudco specializes in residential and commercial roofing systems and coatings. Anywhere in Louisiana, you can get a free roof inspection and quote from Hudco Roofing. So go to HudcoRoofing.com. This is Moon Griffon. I trust Hudco Roofing of Louisiana, and so can you.
Come in and try the good. Dear John, uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. But when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
To get your high blood pressure to a healthy range, visit heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by Champagnes, located in the Oil Center. Champagnes, going the extra mile.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. It is Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline. You could also email me, moon@moongriffon.com. Somebody texted and said, I'm an Italian-American. And he says, I have enough confidence in myself. I enjoy Italian jokes. Yep, I know. I hear radio jokes and tall people jokes and every kind of jokes of mine. I laugh, too. Daddy taught me how to laugh at myself. That's not what they do in the media. They're looking for something that they can. They're looking for something that they can grab to stick in the face of Donald Trump. Yet Trump didn't make these comments that they're talking about, and yet Joe Biden did make them. Kamala Harris, she says she disagrees with Biden's comment on calling the Trump voters garbage. No, she doesn't. She's trying to come up with anything she can to distance herself from Biden. Remember, it was the Biden-Harris ticket. It's President Biden and Vice President Harris. It's a team. Biden even said that we're a team. Biden even said we made decisions together. Whatever you see out there you don't like, Harris is a part of that. They call us names. Folks, look at what these people stand for. Killing of babies, wiping them off the earth. Babies. They want boys in the girls' locker rooms. They stand for 10 and 12-year-old kids having sexual operations before they even know what they are. They stand for the border not having a border. Not having a border at all. Open borders is no border at all. The fentanyl deaths, they must stand for that because there's 100,000 plus going on. They must stand for little kids being raped by these illegals and murdered, people being murdered because that's what's going on. That's what they stand for. Okay? They stand for the Green New Deal. That's why when I get mad at Republicans like Psycho Bill Cassidy with this crazy crap and carbon capture and all this nutted up stuff that does nothing but make somebody money off of you and me. This is what they stand for. They don't stand for the Constitution. They want the First Amendment wiped out. They do not want you to have freedom of speech. They don't want you. They only want the news sources to come from news sources they can control. That's not America. They stand for higher inflation where food and energy and prices on vehicles cost too much for us to afford. We got to go to them. Look at Kamala Harris making up rules just for black men. Making up rules for illegals to be able to buy homes. This is what they stand for. Causing the price of homes to go even higher. All these people coming in, they got to go somewhere to sleep. They're embedding illegals into our system. This is what they stand for. This is all un-American. This is un-American. Not with Trump and his deplorables and garbage like you and me. This is what they're doing. I'm watching what they're doing to the country. They stand for mega debt. They stand for mega inflation because this is what's happening. Are they apologizing for anything that's gone on in the last 4 years? No. They're not apologizing for you not being able to afford a food, a vehicle. Your credit cards are off the chart. They're not apologizing for any of it because they want it to be like that. They want dependency. Obamacare, they ought to apologize and have to give the money back from how they're breaking us with Obamacare. But no, they just dig in deeper. Medicaid is an expansion of government getting more people to say, I need you. I got to have it. I can't make it on my own. They want to control the news cycle, every bit of it. They want to control what you want to say. You cannot go against the Green New Deal and climate change. Okay? When COVID came along, it's mass. They don't even work. A vaccine, I don't know what the hell that is now. 6-foot distance, close your business down. That's what they stand for. All that was to control your life. They want to control your life. They want to control what you eat, how many times you flush the toilet, what kind of vehicles you drive. They don't want homeowners. I'm reading more and more articles. It's going to be harder and harder for people to buy a home. So that's why they're building all these apartments. It's for you to rent small apartments because they're more efficient. Well, maybe you don't want that. They're not building the American dream. They're building a communist dream where they control you. They're not going to build an American dream. They think they ask the people in Venezuela and China and Iran, ask them how their government has prospered them. I'm watching it. I know a lot of people see what I see, but a Democrat Party voter don't see any of this. I hate Trump. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. That's what they say. That's all they got. I told y'all 6 months ago, this is about hate Trump more than love America. Because if you hate Trump more than you love America, you won't watch Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Obama, what they're doing in this country. And along with all the other Marxist friends all over the world. They really do think you garbage and deplorable if you don't vote for them. Now, if you vote for them, oh, they're smart. They got people voting for them, don't even know what the hell they're voting for. They don't even, people, look, if they just look at their pocketbooks, what's been done to them in the last 3.5 years. It's all about design. The medical collapse that's coming in this country is because of Obamacare. It's all about design. You will have no dreams and you'll like it. Your dreams will be what they tell you can dream. If you can't afford a vehicle and you can't afford a home, what's going to be your dream? Everything they stand for, and then they'll sit there and call us names. I'm garbage. Well, I'd rather be garbage than vote to be in prison by a bunch of Marxists and haters of America. And let me tell you something else about the Democrat Party and what these people are doing in power. They hate Jesus Christ. They hate Christians. They hate the church. They absolutely hate you. They hate that you got a principle in you that wants to take a stand against them. I hear people say all the time, how can a Christian vote for this? And Kamala Harris and them. How? You'd have to ask them. Because there's nothing they do line up with the word of God that I know of. Is it the killing the babies? Is it the taking tax dollars and running up debt? All that's against everything the Bible talks about. But yet there they are in church on Sunday and voting for Kamala on Tuesday. I don't see how you do that. I'll tell you how you do it. You get people to hate Trump more than they love America and more than they love God. I didn't say Trump was God. I didn't say that at all. Republicans screw up a ham sandwich. You give them one piece of ham and a piece of bread, they screw it up. I can't help that. I just see evil what it is. That's why they call us deplorable. That's why they call us garbage. They said the Madison Square Garden was about like the Nazis. Had nothing to do with that. Everything the Republicans say, they call it hate. But these people have talked about killing Trump and assassinating Trump. That wasn't hate. That was praised. When they talk about putting that Democrat Party, talks about putting us in encampments to retrain our brains, that's what they did in the communist countries. I'm watching it. I'm watching what these people are saying. For God's sakes, look at what they're doing. Yeah, we call names. They must be losing the election. They must feel like their power is being taken away. Ronald Reagan said it best. We got two things to do as government. We need to protect the Constitution and protect the people on the borders. And then we need to get out of the way and let the American people go be the best they can be. That the Democrat Party and the leadership of this progressive movement is not designed to get out of your way. They're designed to get in your way to shut down what you're dreaming about. Let's take a break. 844-766-6607. Supreme Court allows Virginia to remove non-citizens from voter rolls ahead of the election. All 50 states ought to be doing that. But once again, Democrats want non-citizens to vote. It's another issue right there. So they can control everything we do. Unbelievable. Anyway, when we get back, Leah Long will join us. We'll take a break. Be right back. I've been telling you about Schumacher Homes for a long time. Now, for a limited time, you can choose from 5 different financing offers and pick one that works best for you. Whether you're an active duty, military, or veteran, you can take advantage of the exclusive VA construction loan offer. You can lock in 30-year fixed financing for as low as 3.875. How about that? Looking to stay in your home and start construction right away? A stay-in-your-home loan might be right for you. With this option, you can stay in your home during construction and not worry about moving twice. And for you first-time home buyers, we're not going to forget you. For a limited time, they're offering 30-year fixed financing as low as 3.875. Other financing offers include no-cost refinancing, conventional loans, and FHA construction loans. If you're thinking of building your dream custom home, there's no time like the present to start building. SchumacherHomes.com. SchumacherHomes.com. Let them build your dream home. They're building dream homes one at a time.
With the summer heat here, let's talk about your AC. You're looking for a reliable, locally owned company that you can trust? Call Adapt Concepts AC and Heating. They have been serving all of Acadiana, the surrounding area, and the Gulf of Mexico for over 6 years. For your home or business, Adapt Concepts AC and Heating has you covered with certified technicians specializing in everything from residential to large commercial HVAC systems available 24/7. These guys are focused on providing professional quality work and ensuring customer satisfaction every step of the way. You want the professionals? You want the best? This is them. Don't miss this summer special. 0% financing or up to $3,000 off qualifying high-efficiency equipment. Not only that, they will throw in a free 12-year part and labor warranty. That's right, 12 years part and labor. Wow. Don't you want to know more about them? Call them at 337-408-8202. That's 337-408-8202. Or go to the website, adapt-ac.com. That's adapt-ac.com.
Apply.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you back with us. 844-766-6607. Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline. MatthewJames.com. MatthewJames.com. Just last thing before we go to Leah. Remember, folks, to the Biden administration and the Democrats, the nice and the sweet people and the good people are illegals that they're trying to help with everything under the sun. You and me, we just garbage. All right, let's go to Miss Leah Long joins us, National Federation of Independent Businesses. Leah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, I saw your opinion. I wanted you to share with it. I know you have a big interest, like I do and everybody else, in Governor Landry's plan to fix what's going on. And I know there's a lot of good things in there, but from your perspective, coming from the independent businesses, so give me the perspective on what you know so far, what you like, maybe what you question. Because I tell people I'm not against it at all. I think that there's a lot of good things in there, but I got questions, and I think questions are important. I think they're very important.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my, stance too. I'm not against it. I'm not completely for it. It's still monitoring. I told someone the other day, whatever these bills, when they come on November 6th, they're probably not going to look the exact same when it gets to his desk after session. So for us, most small businesses are pass-through entities. So it goes from the business income comes down to their personal, and they file a personal tax rate. So lowering the personal tax rate here in Louisiana is going to be super important for these small business owners. That's great for them. And so the only, not really issues or concerns is, we're shifting the income from the income tax rate to the sales tax. And so you're expanding the sales tax base to 41 different services. And I understand they've got to come up with that money somehow to replace it, to lower it to a flat rate. And so I think just being able to educate small business owners, because it's going to add an admin burden to them. They've never had to collect or remit sales tax. And so I think that's something that I hope the administration, LDR is planning on educating the business owners, because right now, obviously, to make this plan work, they've got to come up with the money somehow. And so it's going to come from that. that. So to be able to collect the money that they need to make this whole plan work and to lower the income tax rate, you're going to have to make sure these people are collecting correctly and educating them. And I know there's been talk about, having a kind of safe harbor time to make sure everyone understands it before they start penalizing people. And so I think that's important because some of these people, these landscaping people or people are out and about, some of them don't even own a computer. Mm-hmm. So if they're just a man in a truck out here going to work as a small business owner registered as an LLC, that's something he or her are going to need to be educated on. And so I think that's important. We got to stay competitive with our neighboring states. Arkansas just lowered theirs. Mississippi's lowering theirs. And so we want to make Louisiana a great place to own and operate a business and attract new people. So I think the plans has some good parts. It has some parts that we have questions about, but I think the administration, along with LDR, they've been around answering questions, and they continue to answer our questions. And I think that it's going to come to kind of meet in the middle aspect when we get in session and everything starts rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I had the governor on too, and we're starting over here, but where you end up will matter. It will matter what the plan ends up looking like. Because, like I said, and he brought it up to me. He said, you don't think there's a lot of good things? Yeah, there's a lot of good things in the plan. I wanted to work out for the citizens and the businesses way more than I wanted to work out for government. And I think that's the problem, not with the plan, but I think that's the problem overall. You're going to have a lot of people come and defend government, making sure they get theirs. And so they get nervous anytime you got change. One of the things they got to do is find a way to do something with all this dedicated money. And if they could figure that one out, the governor tried to do the special session. Cameron half-assed Henry didn't want to do it. So we weren't able to do that at first. I always thought that needed to be the first move that they did. And the governor tried to do that. Henry and them wouldn't allow it. So I think that's still part of it. And it is 3 or 4 steps to, I think, Leah, when you look at it, you're going to have the special session. And if things come out of there, you got to have an election, in March for the people to vote on. And things come out of that, you still got some work to do in the regular session that are going to be promised up front that if you don't do, they could affect it. So I just hope they got their ducks in a row by doing this, but it looks like this is still an evolving plan that they have to go and discuss it for a little while.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit, which I guess in a way it is. I know we're rushing into special session, and I think the state, from the governor's office to LDR, they're going to have to do a big education push because we're going to get through special session. And some of these sales tax, like on digital goods, they start January 1. Yeah. So you're going to have to alert these businesses to let them know, hey.
But let me stop you a second. The income tax cut starts on January 1st, too. So somebody will be getting a tax break. So, a lot of things will start then. But then you got a big constitutional vote, too, that when a constitutional vote comes out, of course, if Governor Landry and the people that like the plan, they're going to be out there promoting it and advertising for it. And then you're going to have the people that want to knock it down. So it's going to be interesting to see because I think you got to pass the first step, the second step, and get to the third step. It's still a big, big step to go. But once again, Louisiana needs to do something big.
Yeah, we got to do something big. I agree. We got to keep Louisiana, competitive. And I know LED, they're trying hard to keep Louisiana competitive. And I think it's a huge component to add to make Louisiana better. We want people to come here. We want people to stop going to Texas. We want to stop being compared to Texas. We want to be better than Texas. Someone said the other day, I think tax-wise, that we're in the bottom 10. I think we're number 40, and they were saying if we pass this plan can make us number 8. Well, that's great, but we've also got to make sure the government's good, businesses are good, and your everyday tax-paying citizens are good. So, you're going to have more money, but you're also going to charge more for services. So it's about balance, too.
Well, it's also one other proposal and one other problem we've not addressed. And that is the insurance, car insurance, vehicle insurance, liability insurance. We have not addressed it yet. That goes along with everything we're doing. I think you got to have all of it to make a big change here in the state. So I'm hoping that people are not letting the insurance thing go by the wayside.
I don't think they are, and I think there's still been hearings in the interim right now, and I've even heard talk of possible insurance special session before next session. So who knows? But that's a huge thing small business owners are dealing with. And so you kind of think about like learning education to collect and remit sales tax on top of already paying such a high number of insurance costs in an already inflated economy. So it's one of those things that small business owners, they have a lot going on right now. And we're adding one more thing to it, which if we do lower the personal income tax rate, that's great too, because they're going to appreciate that. But I think it's just you got to realize kind of how the economy is going right now. We're close to Election Day, so who knows what can happen in a way.
No, I know. I just think that I just know that we've got to do something big. I think this is a great start. How we get there it's always the devil's in the detail. All right, Miss Leah, I appreciate it, Sha. We'll do it again soon. God bless. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you, baby.
Our state is facing a budget shortfall, left over by the last governor. Jeff Landry and the legislature already cut $2 billion for spending we don't need. Now, they have to deal with this shortfall, but they've got a plan to deal with that and move Louisiana forward. This is what Governor Landry said.
This Louisiana Forward Plan, when fully implemented by the legislature and ratified by the people of this state, will produce more jobs, a greater prosperity, lower our taxes, and bring us a sustainable budget.
This plan cuts taxes for the middle class and all taxpayers. With the income tax rate dropped to just 3%, job creators can grow the economy with lower taxes. Families and senior citizens, no more prescription drug sales tax. A different tax system which focuses on choices, not labor. And the Louisiana voters, we get the final say. Fixing the shortfall, cutting taxes, growing our economy, now that's moving Louisiana forward. Paid for by Protect Louisiana Values.
The Moon Griffon merchandise store is now open. Go to moongriffon.com right now and click on merchandise. There you'll find men's tees, ladies' tees, polos, fishing shirts, lounge pants, hats, and more. Through November 15th, a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Cajun Navy hurricane relief efforts. Show your love for the Moon Griffon Show by purchasing some Moon Griffon merch. Go to moongriffon.com right now and click on merchandise.
Archery season. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax Pro Studio.
This is a Fox News alert. The vice president steers away from the president. I'm Dave Anthony. The morning after President Biden called Trump supporters garbage while denouncing a comedian at Sunday's New York Trump rally calling Puerto Rico garbage, Vice President Harris just said,
First of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear. I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
Harris telling reporters,
as President of the United States, I will be a president for all Americans, whether you vote for me or not.
Now, as she said, President Biden in a post on X wrote that he wasn't calling all Trump supporters garbage. It was one supporter, that comedian he says was hateful. President Trump reacted at a rally in Pennsylvania.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right?
Vice President Harris is now on her way to North Carolina, where former President Trump will also go next hour. And they'll have dueling rallies in Wisconsin tonight. Harris will also campaign in Pennsylvania. Another state has won at the Supreme Court.
Virginia can move forward with a purge of about 1,600 voters from voter rolls who state officials say are not U.S. citizens. The Supreme Court reinstated that decision less than a week from Election Day after lower courts blocked the order from taking effect. Immigrants' rights organizations have challenged the policy, from Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin, who says officials could not verify the registered voters were citizens. It is illegal for non-citizens to vote.
As Fox's Jared Halpern, more than 52 million Americans have already voted early 6 days before the election. We got an update this morning on the economy, a big issue in the campaign.
Economic growth for the summer quarter came in at 2.8%. The forecast for third quarter gross domestic product was a 3% increase, matching the spring quarter.
As Fox's Jenny Casole. On Wall Street, the NASDAQ hit a new record high. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're looking for a firearm, I just love and recommend highly Henry Repeating Arms. They make 200 models of rifles, shotguns, revolvers, and a wide variety of calibers and finishes. Plus, they have new releases all throughout the year. The best way to learn about Henry Firearms is to get their free catalog and check it out online or at home. Plus, you're going to get 2 free decals and a list of dealers where you live and a great newsletter. Go to henryusa.com, click on their free catalog button. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Henry uses old-world craftsmanship combined with cutting-edge technology to deliver reliability and accuracy that everybody can trust. They're easy to use and maintain. It makes them an excellent choice for personal and property defense, for hunting, for shooting sports, and for beginners. All made in America, or they won't be made at all. Remember, to order their free catalog, get free decals, henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog and decals and a list of dealers where you are.
Court-appointed special advocates, or CASA, are specially trained volunteers that help secure safe homes for abused and neglected children. Don't let these innocent victims slip through the cracks of our complicated legal system. Get involved today. Call CASA at 268-5111. This nonprofit organization moment brought to you by News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Election night is here. Join us here at News Talk 96.5 KPEL as we bring you up-to-the-minute results and expert analysis. Join me, Joe Cunningham, and Jamie Angel, host of Acadiana's Morning News, from 6 to 11 p.m. on Tuesday night as we cover every twist and turn in the race between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. And don't forget that control of Congress is on the line, and we'll be following every House and Senate race that matters to you. Join us on the radio or use the KPEL app to listen live online to Election Night 2024, brought to you by the Tax Pros at Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Always a pleasure to be with you. Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. Yeah, that special session starts the day after the presidential election, our national election, and, of course, some local elections. We really don't have national elections. They just got a national election day when everybody votes periodically. Big news out of Virginia. Supreme Court says no. You have to take illegals off the ballot. Now, folks, you know they're going to try to cheat. That's another thing that Democrats do. They don't mind cheating the vote. They could care less. There's a lot of frustration in Pennsylvania with what they're doing right now. So I got a piece. It's only 44 seconds. The guy describes, I went and read the article, where they've taken illegals. Buses are coming in with about 15, 20 illegals, and the lines in Pennsylvania now are 2 hours. 2 hours long, and yet these people that cannot speak English are getting off buses. They're walking past everybody in the line is what's going on. Now, I'm going to play, it's a clip. I hope you can hear it good. The citizen just describing what's going on. He can't understand what's going on. He's been waiting in line. He's got a 2-hour wait. They tell him it's a 2-hour wait. Buses of 9 English-speaking citizens guided past all American citizens. Once again, something else Democrats do. They hate the American citizen, but they love them some illegals. They love people that don't belong here. Once again, that's the Democrat Party. They've thrown illegals in front of blacks, women, everything. This is what you're voting for. But here's a guy kind of describing something that happened Saturday, and he's just shocked. Listen to this.
No, they had these people, they had about 12 of them walked in. They were all foreigners. And then they took them up. These younger people helped them to fill out, they say, vote PA today.
Yep.
And then
Vote
they took them up,
today, PA. Yep.
and somehow they beat a 2-hour line. And then they walked up, and the one lady, they were even asking her, they're like, we don't have you in the system. Your name's not right. And they're like, oh, well, we'll take it back and change it.
Yeah.
How do you change your damn name?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you.
All right, I'll draw it up again one more time. So this is, I've read about 8 articles, different articles on what's happening. And I always said if English was the official language, we would know if you belong here or not. We would know if you really need to be here. And you wouldn't be voting if you couldn't speak English. So what's happening in Pennsylvania and other states, I have no idea, folks. We Liberty or Louisiana. 2-hour wait, and you see a bus drives up, and they got people that can't speak English, and they walked up to the front, and then they helped to vote. Somebody's going, well, where's the police? Well, I don't know. I don't live in Pennsylvania. But once again, the Democrat Party calling us deplorables, the Democrat Party calling us garbage voters for Trump. We're not. I took that. I don't take it personal because I know what the source is. I got to thinking, how much garbage am I? Get up in the morning. I had kids, make sure they were fed, took them to school, make sure they were dressed. Any events they had to do, had to help them with homework, fed them breakfast, fed them lunch, fed them supper, spent 60 hours in the work field, went to every event they were involved, from dancing to ball, walking, sitting right. You can tell you I didn't miss anything. If I missed something, it was very rarely. Me and my wife, not just me, but me and my wife did everything that I'm telling y'all. Raising kids, get them through school, get them through college, try to pay our bills, try to pay things off, try to watch the debt, try to put money back for later. I'm describing you. I'm just telling you, Americans, and all of a sudden, and pay taxes when I got to pay taxes, although I'm a business owner and I cringe at how much money they take. I pay them. I got to pay them. I'll try to get around it, tell my CPA, whatever I owe, let's pay them. You know, try to contribute in my church, try to contribute in society. You know, if I can help somebody, I help, whether it be financially, physically, or mentally, or spiritually. The same thing my bride does. Okay? How am I garbage? But according to Joe Biden, I'm garbage. I'm deplorable. I'm hateful. I'm a racist. I'm a sexist because I won't vote for Kamala. I'm a bigot. Not none of those things. And you're not either. But these people call us this because in their mind you trust everything they say and do. That's what communists believe. We become I'm a bad guy because I get up and go to work in the morning. I'm a bad guy because I give to my church and give to charity. That makes me a bad guy. What makes me a bad person? Because I'm not going to vote for a Democrat? My God, look what they believe and think. And now this, with elections, they're going to walk people in front of people that have to wait 2 hours, drive a bus, and walk them in front of everybody. By the way, let me play it again. Listen to it real close because I know it's not totally clear, but if you listen to it, I mean, and we're going to in this party, this Democrat Party, they love them some illegals and by the millions, and they love to give them benefits. Now they're riding to the polls and going to teach them how to vote Democrat. And like the guy said, you can't change your name. Oh, yeah, they can in Democrat areas. Yes, sir. See, the ends justifies the means. They don't care if they cheat, steal, and lie. This is un-American. We're talking about voting now. One of the most wholesome things you can do is vote. And you ought to see the film of this. This is unbelievable. Anyway, one more time.
No, they had these people, they had about 12 of them walked in. They were all foreigners. And then they took them up. These younger people helped them to fill out, they say, vote PA today.
Yep.
And then
vote
they took
today,
them up,
PA. Yep.
and somehow they beat a 2-hour line. And then they walked up, and the one lady, they were even asking her, they're like, we don't have you in the system. Your name's not right. And they're like, oh, well, we'll take it back and change it.
Yeah.
How do you change your damn name?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. And the guy said only a couple of us complaining and they didn't pay attention to it. They just moved on.
So, and just like in Virginia, you got to get 9 citizens off the voting roll. The Democrats do not mind if non-citizens vote, which is ludicrous. I'm telling you, talk about mental deranged syndrome. They got it. They don't see anything that's wholesome, and everything that's bad, they see good. Hating on Trump, wanting to kill Trump, whatever else they want to do to Trump, and hating on the people that vote for him. I'm not voting for some leftist Looney Tune in a Democrat outfit. I'm not. I don't care if you black, white, or lily white. You my daddy? I wouldn't vote for my daddy if my daddy believed in this crap. I said, Daddy, I love you. I'd be damned if I'm voting for you. You believe in the crazy crap you believe in. My daddy didn't believe in all that either. I'm just saying if he did. And these people don't care. Don't care about you. Sit there and Kamala Harris talking about Trump don't care about y'all. Oh, Kamala cares about y'all. Oh, yeah, man. She going to take care of you. You're going to pay 3 times utility costs, 10 times for food. They're going to really take care of y'all. Unbelievable. All right. Welcome, may do this. Got a John Stossel. You know how we have all these different entities with the Green New Deal and everything's a crisis. We got all these groups that protest. Black Lives Matter and the climate and all that stuff. Stossel did a piece. Now, look, this is long, and I'm not going to play it all. I'm going to play a couple of 3 minutes real quick. We'll play a couple more when we get back. He did a deal interviewing people and talking to people about all these movements, how they're fake, and people are paid for to do all these movements, all this hate and protests from the left. Here we go. This is John Stossel. I think.
Activists say our future is dismal.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
Because I don't have a future.
If it's not climate change, it's homophobia.
It's very stressful. Like, people don't know whether we're going to have rights next year or not.
The activists say they fight to save people from homophobia, racism, hate groups, and climate change. Listening to them, you'd think these threats are getting worse. But the opposite is true. Our air and water are cleaner. We live longer, healthier lives. There's less racism than there used to be. Less homophobia, too. But if the protesters acknowledge that, what would they do with their lives? Journalist John Tierney covered activists for years.
In 1979, I was a reporter at the Washington Star, and I was assigned to cover the first anti-nuclear march.
Thousands protested nuclear power.
An end to the nuclear age in its entirety.
And I interviewed the organizers, and I was just struck that all of them were veterans of the anti-war movement. How did they all suddenly become so passionate and so knowledgeable about nuclear power? And then it was later I realized, well, of course, the Vietnam War was over. They succeeded, so they needed to find a new cause. For activists, success is a threat. It's going to put you out of business unless you find a new cause.
But it's not a business. They're not making money doing this.
Oh, yes, they are.
Environmental activists probably collect the most. Their leaders pay themselves hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. Racial equity groups have gotten rich, too. Although when it comes to deceitful self-dealing, Tierney says,
the ultimate example is the Southern Poverty Law Center.
The Southern Poverty Law Center released a chilling report.
When the center opened, it promised legal help to those harmed by racism. After their lawsuits bankrupted chapters of the Ku Klux Klan, the center changed Klan Watch to Hate Watch.
Fabricating these, the idea that there's a rising tide of hate in this country. And they just fundraise with that, and it scares people, and they get money.
They think they're making the world a better place.
But they're not. They're viciously attacking and smearing.
Groups like Moms for Liberty, Moms for America.
We put about 10 of these major hate groups out of business.
They're just scaremongering and giving people the idea that there's all this hatred and racism in the country when all the evidence shows just the reverse.
Okay. We'll come back and play a few more, but this is really awesome. Y'all pick it up. It's 10 or 11 minutes on Stossel. And all these groups, all paid for. See, you got social media now. You can community organize a lot quicker. Obama knows this. They all know it. And they paid heavy money, Soros money and all that stuff. They're not real. That's why the MAGA movement was real. Nobody paid to form the MAGA movement. Make America great. Who would be against that? Democrats. They're against that, too. Let me come back, play a few more minutes. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Scott McKay at 10:30. a little bit on the mayor's race. He's got a big function coming up, presidential race, all that coming after 10:30. We'll take a break, be right back. This is Moon Griffon. The biggest complaint about solar power is the battery storage. Well, no more. Now, Solar Louisiana offers giant battery storage solutions from the top names like Panasonic, LG, and more. Solar Louisiana will install residential home solar systems with enough battery storage to get you through any outages. And say goodbye to your electric bill, as Solar Louisiana will custom fit a system to your electrical needs. Online at solarlouisiana.net. Your energy independence company, Solar Louisiana.
If you've got some projects to do around the house and you need the voice of experience, of local voice, somebody that can help you and knows Louisiana, you need to check out Stein Home & Yard. They're a Louisiana company, founded, established here. They've been based here. Their story dates back all the way to 1946. Stein Home & Yard has all the things you need to make your house ready for fall. Great deals on fall plants like mums, as well as all sorts of handy items you need for your house. Need to upgrade your power tool game? They've got great deals on DeWalt power tools. They also have great deals on grills for your next tailgate for the big game this weekend. Traeger pellet grills, Weber grills, Charbroil, so many great brands, and it's all right there at your fingertips. Just pull them up, steinhome.com. Steinhome.com is where you need to go to find the greatest deals on your home improvement needs. Steinhome.com, a great Louisiana company.
As Louisiana's only fiberglass manufacturer and fabricator, C-Safe Fiberglass Grading and Structural Systems has provided corrosion-resistant products to the Gulf Coast for over 45 years. Our fiberglass grading, cable trays, and structural shapes are ideal to replace corroded, rotting building products and can be custom fabricated by the best fiberglass craftsmen in the world, right here in Lafayette. Contact C-Safe or visit our website at csafe.com. That's S-E-A like the ocean, S-A-F-E.com.
Drive-in stop.
Foundation Repair, 800-256-1010. Louisiana-owned Atlas Foundation Repair, 800-256-1010. Call Tony Arpino. I have known him for years. Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline. Man, when you play something like this, you just cringe. I'm watching it. Somebody else made a thing. It's all over X. They shut a polling place down at about 2:30. And talking about voter suppression. Look, none of that surprise. Why should that surprise you? And it doesn't surprise me if they want illegals to vote, because they feel better about the illegals than they do about the citizens in the United States of America. And you can take uneducated people who they are very uneducated and go get them to do whatever you want to do, especially if they're getting a food card and a health care card and a place to live. Remember, if they're living in any inner city in our country, they're living better than they were in some kind of hut in Honduras, I can promise you. All right, John Stotts, I just want to play just a little bit more of this clip. I just think this is just like phenomenal, how these groups are formed, a lot of money to be made, and protesting everything in the United States of America, all coming from the left. Here we go.
The group once said he'd stop fundraising if they ever got to $55 million.
Well, now they have over $600 million in the bank, and they haven't stopped fundraising.
Tierney wrote a book detailing why people fall for such bad news. In The Power of Bad, you explain that we're programmed to see bad because if our ancestors didn't see the saber-toothed tiger, they were dead and they didn't give birth to us.
Exactly. The ones who paid attention to threats were the ones who survived.
Our brains are hardwired to react strongly to fear, and activists take advantage of that.
There's this industry, the merchants of bad, who get more money by creating crises or pretending that crises exist. They're journalists, they're activists, they're lawyers, they're academics, and they're bureaucrats because, you know, the bigger the problem sounds, the bigger your budget.
and the more attention you get.
You get more attention, you get more money. I mean, nobody gives you money to study something that isn't a problem. But if it's a crisis, then we all have to pay
Climate
attention.
change.
And you get not only money, but you get power.
That appeals to politicians.
Climate change is literally an existential threat to our nation and to the world.
You know, climate change is kind of the perfect crisis because you can attribute anything to it, and it's always in the future. And it's bizarre that environmentalists call this an existential threat.
An existential threat to us as human beings.
I don't even think most Americans know what the word existential means. And yet, they're all using it.
The greatest existential threat.
This is the existential threat.
The existential threat
Bernie Sanders.
of climate change.
Yeah, it's a great phrase. You know, during the 20th century, environmentalists warned us that overpopulation, we were all going to starve to death.
In the next 15 years, the end will come. And by the end, I mean an utter breakdown of the capacity of the planet to support humanity.
The opposite happened. Now there are more than twice as many people and fewer starve. Now it's climate activists predicting human extinction.
What I'm saying is the planet's on fire.
And the idea that with our advanced technology today, we can't survive, a slight rise in temperatures, it is just absurd.
But wait, news channels like NBC now say storms are getting stronger and more dangerous because of
human-driven climate change.
These events that are boosted by climate change, stronger, wetter, lasting longer.
But that's just not true.
There's been no long-term growth in the intensity or the number of hurricanes, but every time one comes, it's a great photo op for the crisis industry to say, oh, this is climate change.
The crisis industry also claims in America it's unsafe to be gay.
You do realize that.
All right, that's good. And by the way, it's the same thing. And so what happens is you got people with money that are paying people a lot of money to keep all this stuff going. And 99% of it's a lie. The racism's a lie. The gay thing's a lie. The climate change thing is a lie. All that's a lie. But you got to keep it going. It's like I said, if that fails, then they go to something else and raise money to do something else. And it's so anti-America, all that stuff that the left does it. Once again, it's the Democrat Party. This is what they do. This is what Marxists, socialists, communists, they've done in these other countries. The media is right in there with them. Okay, they don't care. Everything is a crisis. They got to create a crisis because, like Rahm Emanuel says, when you got a crisis, you never let a good crisis go to waste. So you create a crisis, and you can have something to talk about and move things around. It's a sin and a shame that this is America, but this is what the Democrat Party. If you look at in the book and you look at the Bible, Satan is the one with confusion, keeps you confused. Looks like the party of the devil. It really does. They just constant. And if you come along like a guy like Trump, beat him to death. And anybody that comes with him, deplorables, garbage, people and women especially are voting for Harris. They're voting for this to continue because it's going to continue. And their lives are not going to get better. Women voting for Democrats that think their lives are going to get better, good luck. Ain't happening. Scott McKay when we get back. I've been bragging about Dino Hardwoods for a long time. A good friend, Charles Altman, they do an excellent job. And if you're looking for unique or hard-to-find hardwood lumber, plywood, and molding, is Dino Hardwoods. That's where you need to go. DinoHardwoods.com, DinoHardwoods.com. Trust Dino Hardwoods for all your hardwood lumber and cypress needs. With the holiday season fast approaching, as you know, a timeless handmade gift using quality lumber by Dino just means more. With 3 great locations to serve you now, Broussard, Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana, and now he's expanded in Tyler, Texas. Folks, there's something for every discerning woodworker at Dino. Go to DinoHardwoods.com, DinoHardwoods.com, and check out the unique and hard-to-find hardwood, lumber, plywood, and molding that you can't just find anywhere. Charles Altman, trust me, is not a better man in the business. He knows what he's doing, and he wants to service you. DinoHardwoods.com, DinoHardwoods.com.
If you or a loved one are suffering from addiction,
Listen to Springfield Wellness Center's founder, Paula Norris Metayer.
We help people through their detox with minimal withdrawal symptoms. Even though it's a 10-day treatment, I look at the first 4 or 5 days as the brain restoration piece. And when the brain restoration piece turns on, that's when we have patients go, wow, a light bulb turned on or a switch was turned on. All of a sudden, their prefrontal cortex is working. And their midbrain is also working. They're not craving. They're thinking clearly. They see things clearly. And they have more confidence.
Put your addiction behind you. Call Springfield Wellness Center, 225-755-9566.
Just call us. That's all. And we'll be waiting for you.
225-755-9566. 755-9566. Springfield Wellness Center. SpringfieldWellnessCenter.com.
If you're selling a bit.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the LHSAA, are the 110,000 high school sports students in Louisiana. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer, and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
This hour brought to you by the Matthew James Tax Pros. Find them online at MatthewJamesTaxPros.com.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show, Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, you can always email me, moon@moongriffon.com, moon@moongriffon.com. All right, we're joined by Scott McKay, our friends at the Hayride. He's also an author of many, many books, does a podcast with the American Spectator, writes for them as well. Scott, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. Hey, before we get into a few little issues, big event coming up. I wanted to make sure you give a little plug for it.
Yeah. Well, the Louisiana Freedom Caucus PAC, which I'm involved with, is putting on a fundraiser at the Baton Rouge Hilton on the 12th, which is, the Tuesday, the week after the election. The legislature is going to be in session to do the tax reform piece, and we're going to have an event to talk about that. We've got Daniel Erspamer from the Pelican Institute is going to talk about it. And we've also got Justin Ouimet, who is the director of the he's the national director of the State Freedom Caucus Network, plus a couple of the members of the Freedom Caucus are going to get up and speak and talk about the opportunity that the legislature has, which is to cut taxes rather than swap them, because that's the win, and we want to try and build consensus for going in that direction.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They got to do spending cuts, no doubt about it. Well, the timing's great on this. I mean, it worked out. I know you didn't know the governor was calling a special session, but I figured a bunch of those lawmakers would be there. Erspamer would be a great one to be there. And I don't know the other guy, but I'm going to take your word for it. He's probably pretty good, too.
Well, in early September, they had a national summit of all the state freedom caucuses around the country. And Justin gave a speech about what the real cost is of tax and spend lunacy within both state legislatures and in Congress. And, you wouldn't think that you give a speech on that subject and you'd bring people to tears, but there wasn't a dry eye in the room when he started talking about the fact that that's actually a tax on expectation.
Yeah, no doubt.
With an economy through bad public policy people, all of a sudden, it's not about sending your kid to the best college that they can get into because you can't afford it. It's about, okay, maybe your kid, joins the service when they get out of high school, or, there's no money for them to go to school at all, or at best they can go to technical school. Like, in other words, people ratchet down their expectations of life. And when you ratchet down your expectations of life, drinking beer on a Friday night becomes the end all and be all.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right? And you start smoking weed or taking fentanyl or pills or some of that stuff. And so people start living smaller and less productive lives because they don't feel like they have the ability to do anymore. And I mean, as people heard it, you don't really hear that expressed. But Justin did such an amazing job that, we called him and said, look, you have got to come down here and give that speech because people in Louisiana are going to get it. And we're going to make sure that it goes up on video after you give it because people need to see this. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come do that. So this is going to be something I think people in Louisiana really need to see and hear. And I can't wait for Justin to get down here and do it.
Last thing, it wouldn't be fair if you didn't talk about how can people buy tickets, tables, or whatever to find out more about it.
Yeah, give me 10 minutes after we finish here, and I'm going to have something up at the Hayride that will allow folks to do that. But it'll be at thehayride.com/events is going to be where it is. But the page is not ready yet, but it will be by 11 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to make sure you had a shot at that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the mayor's race in Baton Rouge. Seems to be a 3-person race. So what happens there? What happens there? And I know you got a lot of. I said a lot. You got some of these Republicans, Paula Pelosi Davis, Scott McKnight, and some other people that stepped out really strong for Ted James, which I don't understand that. But anyway, what's going on?
Well, I mean the Republicans for Ted James thing is not all that dissimilar to the Republicans for John Bel Edwards thing, except that this is harder to justify. Ted James's voting record was among the very worst in the state legislature, which was also true of John Bel Edwards at the time he got elected governor.
Exactly.
But James had a lobby score 0. Wow. It was 0. This guy was quite possibly the worst economic leftist in the legislature the whole time he was there. And unlike John Bel Edwards, who held himself out as, I'm a conservative Democrat because I like guns and I'm pro-life and all this kind of stuff. Ted James has none of that in his voting record. This guy was, the last year he was in the legislature, he voted not once, not twice, but 3 separate times for boys on girls' sports teams. That's who this guy is. He makes a big thing about how he and Kamala Harris are personal friends. He was the state chair of her campaign when she ran back in, not even 2019. She never made it to 2020. But Ted James was the state chair. You're talking about somebody that's actually to the left of Sharon Broome. And has no discernible skill set that's better than Sharon Broome's.
Yeah, but these Republicans, these few Republicans that I just mentioned, a couple of them, Paula Pelosi Davis and the other one, they're making it sound like, he's really a conservative Democrat.
And Broome's campaign manager, who is this Amy Cormier woman that I think you've probably talked about her on your show before. She's like the white leftist. Almost an Antifa type, is working for Broome, goes and sits down at a CC's coffee house with Ted James back in the summer before she caught on with Broome's, and records herself talking to James, which is a pretty dirty trick, I guess. One figures that she knew she was going to go to work for Broome when she did that. Mm-hmm. But, like a fish on a hook, Ted James is like, oh, yeah, I'm a woke MAGA guy.
Yeah.
Right? Which should tell you how insincere this dude is, that he's running for, mayor of Baton Rouge and trying to get white Republican support. from South Baton Rouge by claiming he's MAGA. But, the thing is, this is such a disaster to have that out because the woke people think it's disqualifying for you to call yourself MAGA, and the MAGA people think it's disqualifying for you to call yourself woke. Yeah. And both sides recognize that this guy is a grifter who has no principles. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. He's spending a lot of money, and he raised a lot of money before Sid Edwards got in the race.
Are you disappointed? Are you
romance that?
I know, but are you disappointed that some of these Republicans that act like they're conservatives are stepping out for Ted James? I think that's an insult to me, but that's just me.
No, it is. But Moon, it's impossible to be disappointed in Paula Davis.
Oh, I agree with that. That's a laugh.
Like that. That's on. If you're disappointed in Paula Davis, that's on you.
That's right.
McKnight is a little different. McKnight is different, but the thing about it is, look, both of these are out for themselves. Okay, I mean, I don't know what Paula Davis expects to get. She and her husband were both lobbyists before she got in the legislature, so I'm sure that this is an influence play where she is. McKnight's probably looking for a job.
Yeah.
So they're out for themselves, and I think most people get that. Neither one of them are super, super, super popular right now as within white Republicans in South Baton Rouge or whatever. So I don't know how much influence they actually bring to the table. The early voting numbers they're interesting. And I've got them right here.
Well,
so,
hold up. Hold your thought. Yeah. Let me take a break. Right. We'll come back and do that, which will give you plenty of time. Because I do want to get on the presidential race before you get out of here.
Sure.
Scott McKay, my special guest. We'll take a break. Be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Nestled in gently rolling hills in North Louisiana is a place that produces the finest Louisiana wines around, Landry Vineyards. This place is phenomenal. Not only are they passionate about growing wine grapes and making Landry Vineyards wine, they also have cottages and RV sites you can rent, tours, and live music on Saturdays and tastings Monday through Saturday. Available in over 650 stores throughout Louisiana, I encourage you to visit and try Landry wine direct from Landry Vineyards. This is another great Louisiana company that has my full support, and they are Louisiana certified. A red blend they labeled Bayoutage, Blackberry Merlot, Cabs, Rosé, Petite Syrah, dry and sweet whites, and many, many other wines. Learn more about their wines and their vineyard online at LandryVineyards.com. This is Moon Griffon. My lovely bride and I love the wines from this great Louisiana company, Landry Vineyards, and so will you. Go visit their beautiful winery and find them in your local grocery store. If they don't have Landry Vineyards wine, ask and ask again. LandryVineyards.com. Woo, good wine right here.
It started with direct messages. That's how they got to my son. Gavin was just 17 and looking forward to college. He was contacted by online predators pretending to be a teenage girl. He was the victim of sexual extortion. In less than 2 hours after that first message, Gavin died by suicide. It's a pain I don't want any other parent to feel. Social media is causing an epidemic of bullying, anxiety, and depression, and it's leaving kids vulnerable to the kind of predators that targeted my son. We have to hold big tech accountable and pass the Kids Online Safety Act. I couldn't protect my son, but now it's my mission to make sure all kids are protected. I'm a father and a proud conservative, and I'm here to tell Speaker Johnson, pass the Kids Online Safety Act, because nothing is more important than protecting our kids.
Paid for by Issue One Action, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. IssueOneAction.org.
Hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, Matthew James Business Tax Reduction Hotline.
Scott McKay, my special guest. We're talking a little bit of politics. We're going to do this, and then I want to roll into a little bit on the presidential election because he's watching that as well. So, Scott, you said you got the poll and the results of the voting are interesting. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the numbers from the Secretary of State. As of yet, you got about 93,000 people who voted early in East Baton Rouge. And of that number, 41,000 or just under 42,000, so less than half, are Democrats. And then you got 34,000 Republicans and 18,000 independents. And of the 93,000, 54,000 are white, 35,000 are black, and then 4,300 of them are something else. So you have a lot more white, and between white and black voters in East Baton Rouge, it's about 50-50, okay? Or 45-45 would be a more accurate way to do it. So you've got a much whiter and actually skewing Republican based on voter registration, early vote turnout. So that what that means is that Donald Trump is probably doing really, really well in East Baton Rouge Parish so far. Mm-hmm. And the real thing to be looking for on election night when the votes are counted is how many white voters and how many Republicans actually go for Ted James, because otherwise Sid Edwards is likely to go first in the primary voting.
Wow.
Now, historically, there's a little bit of a ceiling for a Republican candidate running parish-wide in Baton Rouge. It's not altogether true because the sheriff, Sid Gautreaux, is a Republican. The coroner, Bo Clark, is a Republican. Doug Wellborn is a clerk of court. He's a Republican. Those are all state or parish-wide offices that are held by Republicans. So not only a Republican can't win, but 4 years ago, Steve Carter ran against Sharon Broome and got 43% of the vote, and that's about what Trump has gotten in the parish. So people think that that's kind of the base Republican vote, and you can't really get beyond that. But Sid Edwards isn't a politician, so he doesn't carry the same kind of baggage going into an election that some of these other people might. And so, his ceiling may be different, not to mention the fact he's been a high school football coach in North Baton Rouge and coached, hundreds, thousands of kids who are, black kids and have had good experiences working with him and actually love him. And the question is how much of that would translate into him running for mayor. Nobody knows. We don't really have a good frame of reference on this. So, he doesn't have any money, but I think all of that changes when he gets into the runoff. And the other thing about the runoff that makes this a really interesting race, more so than people think, is that nothing else is on the ballot in December. Okay, there's some constitutional amendments statewide, but there's no other real big races. There probably is a PSC race, but what is on the ballot in East Baton Rouge Parish is there's a tax election in St. George over whether to take the sales tax money that the parish is currently collecting and force it into the coffers of the new city of St. George. Everyone in St. George will turn out for that tax election. Yeah. Everyone. And so if it's, say, Sharon Broome and Sid Edwards in the runoff, there's really nothing to get people out to vote other than, if they care about the mayor's race, they'll come out to vote. But there's, typically speaking, that runoff is a low turnout race, except it won't be in the part of town that is likely to go heavy for Sid Edwards. So, don't be shocked if it's a Broome-Edwards runoff and Edwards can actually win that.
Let me ask you one other thing real quick. Do you think there's a better chance Broome and James in a runoff, or Edwards and one of the Democrats?
Well, the fact that you have this big early vote number of both white voters and also Republican voters. Republicans are only 27% of the registered voters in East Baton Rouge, and yet, I don't know what 34,000 into 93,000 is, but it's a lot more than 27%. That's almost 40%.
Yeah, 35, 36%. Yep.
Yeah, it's pushing 40%. So, like, you've got a disproportionate Republican turnout. Like, is Ted James getting a big chunk of that? I mean, I don't know why he would, other than he's spending a lot of money to try to get that.
Yeah.
I think it's a hard sell, but, I might be wrong. Typically speaking, 43% of the vote is going to be it'll be a Republican vote, whether they're registered Republican voters or just people who vote Republican. I think that Sid should get enough of that to make the runoff.
Okay.
And I would guess it's against Broome simply because typically more black women will turn out to vote than black men, and she's going to get all of them.
Scott, real quick, short time, minute and a half, presidential election. Everybody's asking me who's going to win. I told them I have no idea. I still think if evil can win, Trump won't win. But they're going to do everything they can. Just your thoughts right here at the end of this thing.
Well, I'll just ask you this, Boone. Do you feel like garbage?
Yeah, you know what?
Because I don't.
I don't feel like garbage. But if they're calling me garbage, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, well, and I mean that's what Joe Biden thinks of you, and so I don't know how sellable that is. I heard yesterday Kamala Harris is pulling out of North Carolina, that sounds like that almost sounds like Hitler in the bunker. Although Trump is Hitler, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I got my metaphors all wrong. I think this is going to be a big night for the Republicans. I think Trump's going to win. I think that, if what they're talking about, like New Hampshire goes for Trump, which would happen early in the night, then it starts to get really hard to get these people to do the things. Steal. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to go put myself in a position that, Hitler Trump's DOJ is going to come after me for trying to, harvest ballots and bring in bring in bags of ballots from the back door. Like, they may get scared and not actually do it.
Yeah. All right. Look, I got to go. Interesting. We'll do it again after next week's election.
Yeah, check out thehayride.com/events for more on this Freedom Caucus fundraiser we got coming up.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. All right. We got to take a break, but it's just a short break. Back to hour number 3, moongriffon.com, moongriffon.com. Listen live. Catch the third hour of the program. If not, if you're leaving, God bless. Have an awesome day.
Our state is facing a budget shortfall, left over by the last governor. Jeff Landry and the legislature already cut $2 billion for spending we don't need. Now they have to deal with this shortfall, but they've got a plan to deal with that and move Louisiana forward. This is what Governor Landry said.
This Louisiana Forward Plan, when fully implemented by the legislature and ratified by the people of this state, will produce more jobs, a greater prosperity, lower our taxes, and bring us a sustainable budget.
This plan cuts taxes for the middle class and all taxpayers, with the income tax rate dropped to just 3%. Job creators can grow the economy with lower taxes. Families and senior citizens, no more prescription drug sales tax. A different tax system which focuses on choices, not labor. And the Louisiana voters, we get the final say. Fixing the shortfall, cutting taxes, growing our economy, now that's moving Louisiana forward. Paid for by Protect Louisiana Values.
The Moon Griffon merchandise store is now open. Go to moongriffon.com right now and click on merchandise. There you'll find men's tees, ladies' tees, polos, fishing shirts, lounge pants, hats, and more. Through November 15th, a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Cajun Navy hurricane relief efforts. Show your love for the Moon Griffon Show by purchasing some Moon Griffon merch. Go to moongriffon.com right now and click on merchandise.
For the absolute best in local Cajun food, check out Prejean's in their 2 locations in Carencro and Broussard today.